Hey everybody, this is John from ASKNapa, and I'm sitting here talking with my sensei, Sensei Chela Morales Placone. We wanted to sit down and just pick your brain and talk a little bit today about some of your experiences coming up in karate and some of the wisdom that you'd like to share with us. The first question that we have is, what first inspired you to start martial arts?
My kids inspired me. They are who got me started in the first place. So when my daughter was 6 years old, she was very petite. Being petite, she was picked on. Once in a while, she'd come home crying. And this is kindergarten. So I've gone to her teachers, and the teachers seem to think that if Christine would just speak up and say when someone is picking on her, then they could help. But if she stays quiet, then they can't. So I tried to find a way to get her to say what's happening with her and to be upfront with it with her teachers. Well, she was shy. She was shy, and I just didn't know what to do about that. So I started talking to some of the parents, and one of the parents, fortunately for us, knew Sensei Greg Leonard and Sensei Candace Hammond, who are both the instructors of ASKNapa. And this was back in 1991. She also has a very petite daughter who's older and has been studying Shotokan karate with the husband and wife team for years. Her daughter was a brown belt at that point. So she said, check it out. You have nothing to lose. Meet them. See if you like them. So we did. I took both my kids with me, and we talked to Sensei Greg first, and then Sensei Candace just captivated us. She was animated. She knew how to handle the kids.
And they both taught at the school together.
They both taught at the school. So we decided that Christine was going to try Shotokan karate. Shotokan just happened to fall on us. We didn't pick Shotokan. Had they been teaching a different style, that's the style we would have been learning, because we liked Sensei Greg and Sensei Candace. They are who drew us to their school, the style of teaching and the way they teach the children. So my daughter started training, and after 3 months, my son started training. And then after 6 months, I found myself doing the techniques in the back of the room while I was watching them. And so Sensei Candace, of course, saw this and invited me to train too. At that point, I was not working full-time, and I said the funds would be a problem. I could pay for both, but not for a third person. And so she offered me a job. She said, if you can clean the dojo, you can train in exchange. And I cleaned the dojo
for your training
all the way to my black belt test.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was, that's how we got started. What was amazing about that story is that for a period of 6 to 9 months, my kids were my teacher.
Wow.
So they both taught me the basic punch, the basic fist, the stances, the drills that they were doing, because they were more advanced than me. They started before me.
So what belt were they when you first started?
When I started, Christine was orange and Noah was yellow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it didn't even take a year for you to want to jump in.
No. When they saw that I wanted to try it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was an easy transition. And if the funds was the only problem, the time, I never left my kids in the dojo so I could do other things. I always stayed with them and watched them. And however long it was, I was there. And so I couldn't help it but stand up and do some things in the back. It was
sure.
And no one was there, so I didn't mind. No one was watching, except I guess that Sensei Candace was. And then that's what started that conversation.
That's awesome. Now, you were saying that originally you started just in the community in the first place because you were looking for somewhere for your daughter to have more confidence.
Right.
So what changes did you see in her throughout her training?
Well, I think that the fact that she was teaching me brought out some confidence. Mm-hmm. She told me what I was doing wrong, and she demonstrated things to me, which gave her the confidence to know that she can perform what she's saying. So that is a big thing to do. I think that when you can verbalize what you're doing, it is a big step in your maturity and growth for you as a person, and in our case, for us in our dojo.
So then an emphasis on turning around and sharing what you've learned, teaching or assisting and instructing, things like that, really have a huge amount of value in your training and growth.
Yeah. Not only did she know the material, she also felt that she could teach it. So there's two skills there. It's the intellectual and then also the emotional part of it. Is she was committed to it.
Sure.
And that's very much what a teacher is and what a sensei should be. So Christine, when she was in junior high, now she was now a purple belt, and she had gotten a couple of exams below her, and she was still short. I don't think we could do anything about that. She was still petite, and there were still kids who liked to bully her. I think that's just the way the world is.
Yeah, unfortunately, it would seem that way.
So she once said to me that she was afraid to tell me what happened in the girls' locker room when she was in junior high. And I said, why were you afraid to say that? Because I'm your mom. You should be able to tell me what's happening. And she said, it's because I made a promise not to hurt anyone. See, in the dojo creed, we refrain from violent behavior. We just don't do that. But there's this kid, you see, Mom. And she said, she kept messing with my hair. And you know how you always pull my hair back so it's nice and neat and moosed back? Well, this kid always played with my hair. And then it would be messy, and I didn't like that. And I told her to stop. And then I asked her, well, did you go tell your teacher? And she said, yes, I did. And the teacher told her to stop, but then she didn't stop. And then I said, well, what happened? And she said, we were in the locker room, and she did this thing to me again with my hair. And I pushed her back and kicked her. And I told her, and this is what she said, I told her, I told you to stop. Don't do that again, with this voice. Mm-hmm. And it stopped, John. It stopped. And she said, but Mom, I didn't want you to know that I used my karate on someone because I really didn't want to do that. I should have avoided it. And I said, 1, you tried to. You told your teacher.
Right.
2, you gave her warning. And if she kept coming, I would have supported you with that.
That's awesome, too, because it's the mark of someone who really understands the spirit of Shotokan karate.
I think so.
The idea being there's no first strike in karate.
Right.
I mean, it's all about self-defense. And even whenever you have to use it, it's a small defeat in some way because you weren't able to find a way to not have to actually use force.
Right.
And whenever you actually have to defend yourself with your karate, there's a part of you that's really disappointed.
Yeah, it was her last resort. Mm-hmm. And
it's neat to hear that she felt like that even at that age, because that's so not the way a lot of the time people think. They think of, coming and training at a martial arts school and getting strong and people don't mess with me anymore,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is so special. Mm-hmm. One of the many things that's so special about Shotokan is that it's based on this deep-rooted, strong sense of morality and defense and respect and nonviolence to the point where you feel bad that you actually have to use it instead of looking for an opportunity to use it.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
It is really, it shows her maturity in karate, and it also showed her confidence. And at that point, I knew that this karate had done wonders for her. She is now a shodan. She still tries to do techniques and kata on her own, but now she's a dance instructor.
Very successful, I understand.
She's very successful instructor. Everybody likes her energy. Everybody likes how she cares for each one, and she looks to see which one is struggling, and she tries to help them so that they can catch up with them. And it's really good how things worked out for her.
I would be willing to bet that her experience training in and also teaching in karate probably informs what she's doing now in many ways.
Yes, I'm sure it is. It's also the same for my son, who is a Nidan, as a matter of fact. And he worked his way to Nidan. He's very good, very athletic.
I always enjoy training with him.
Yeah, I did too, until we did roundhouse kick to each other.
Oh, no.
And we got shin on shin. Oh my God, his bone was harder than mine, apparently.
That is so painful.
That wiped me out for a couple of months.
I'll bet.
It didn't keep me off the dojo, but I couldn't compete or test or anything like that after that. But he's a very talented young man. He is very passionate about his music right now. He loves the a cappella style music, and he is in a group called ASKNapa. And together they go and perform in many different functions. I think his confidence in the way he sings and the way he feels when he sings was developed because of how passionate he was with the way he used all the parts of his training to develop himself and to be a better person. He's funny though too, and he likes to look at things in a light way. But he's very respectful of everyone, very respectful of people's ideas and people's abilities. So then he tries to always help those who don't quite get what they're trying to learn. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he jokes and says, "Mom, if I do a roundhouse kick now, I might hurt myself." Because he's out of practice. But he and I have fooled around a little bit sometimes in the backyard, and his technique's still there. He knows how to do it. It's
part of him.
It's part of him.
Yeah.
His body will remember. And I just hope that both my kids will continue to follow the teachings of Shotokan and maybe pick it up again sometime in their life.
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of what Sensei Funakoshi used to say, which is that the karate Shotokan, it doesn't end in the dojo. It doesn't end when you leave the training floor. It goes with you.
Yep.
And even if you're not actively training, it's part of who you are.
Right.
And it informs the things you do and the quality and the respect and, the ferocity that you would push through difficulty and adversity. Because it's totally a big component, I think.
Well, it's a big component because your Shotokan works on yourself. Mm-hmm. You're who you're molding. And you're not trying to compete with anyone. You're just trying to be the best person that you can possibly be. And how do you put that in the same plate as someone else who is a different person than you?
Sure.
It's not. So when you take Shotokan internally, you tend to realize that it isn't just a technique. It is how you react to people. It is how you engage with any circumstance, and adversarial or not. And it's the confidence that you exude so that people can respect you back, you as much as you respect them. So it is a really very good training, and it's far from what the other schools teach. It is more the university of learning how to work on yourself.
Now, we've talked a little bit about karate supporting people through growth and change and helping them move past challenges that have been in their way, people mistreating them, difficulties in their lives, things like that. And I wanted to ask you, what would you say is one of the most challenging times in your training, and how did you overcome that?
Well, I would like to answer that differently.
Okay.
I think there was a time in my life where I was at a crossroads. I had coexisted with my ex-husband for years so that we can take care of our children.
Right.
And give them a feeling of stability at home. I was unhappy, but my kids were in the middle of all that. So I felt I should sacrifice longer before I decide to do anything. In 1999, I decided that was not going to be the case anymore. I needed to think about myself and my career and my future, but ultimately my happiness. I decided at that point that I was going to be a better mother, a better friend, a better student, and ultimately a better person if I did something about the unhappiness part of my life. So I did. And after the divorce, I trained hard. I used my training to help me feel better. And it wasn't so much the physical. It was more the emotional and the intellectual part of training I gained confidence. I gained strength. I don't want to say I became ornery because I'm not ornery, but I felt like I could stand up for myself and say no for
Sure.
the first time. For the first time, I could do that. And I believed in me. That's the big deal too. I believed in me. For some reason, I didn't before. That was a big deal. And my training did that for me. The byproduct of that is I got good. And a lot of people noticed. My sensei noticed. Other senseis from other dojos noticed. And in 1999, they decided to send me to the nationals to compete for the region. I was actually, I don't know if I can pull up a copy of the newspaper. There was a newspaper ad featuring me going to the nationals from Napa, and that was cool. I was nervous, but my sensei believed in me, and so did many other people. And that is the beauty of this organization, is they support you, and they know what you're going through, and they will encourage you to do better. Always.
Well, and right from the beginning, when we were first talking about what brought you into Shotokan in the first place, it wasn't the style so much, it was the people.
Right.
And I think that a lot of the time, the people that are attracted to this style are that kind of people.
Are good people.
Are good people.
Yes, they care. They
Right.
care. They don't want to hurt anyone.
Right.
The last thing they want to do is what I've observed.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to work on themselves as they relate to others.
It's ongoingly a wonderful community.
It is.
I'm continually just so thankful that I'm involved in it myself over the years. Been, to several different styles and systems and dojos and things like that. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's really special.
I believe that is what drew us in, and that's still what keeps me going. It's the people and the support that they give us. Sensei Greg also read a lot of information, books and studies, lessons, workshops, just anything that anyone thought about this style of karate. And he was very much involved in the philosophy behind this style. And he and I had in-depth conversation about the philosophy. Not so much the training, not so much technique, not so much the physical, but more, why is it important to be the best person you can be? Why is it important to believe in yourself? Why is it important to be honest with yourself and tell yourself things that you were so afraid to tell yourself? And those things, all of those conversations, everything that he said made sense at one point in my life. And
Right.
I said, that is what I want to do from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm doing.
Oh, we're glad that you do it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time to sit down and chat with us and share some of your experience and wisdom.
It was my pleasure, John.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll maybe sit down another time and chat about different subjects. Maybe we can make this a regular thing in some capacity.
You bet.